This podcast is rated MA. It may contain coarse language, sexual situations, and fantasy violence. It is not recommended for persons under 17.
Episode 7. Welcome to another episode of 5th edition D&D.
I'm Mary, and I'm playing Zelania Quillheart, the Wood Elf Sorcerer.
I am Eric, and I'm playing Falar Windmere, the Wood Elf Ranger.
I am Kirk, and I'm playing Caradin, the Wood Elf Monk.
This is Seth. I'll be playing the Paladin Dragonborn Cespedes.
I am Andrew, and I am your Dungeon Master.
So last time we were all together, you had completed your first. You had all woken up. You completed your first day of travel from Borskier Bridge, and while you were having your breakfast, the gnome guard from Cart. Oh, what is she on?
7.
Came over to have breakfast with you. Inside Zell's bowl, little bone bead that is used as an assassination tool. After going through the rest of the grains and stuff that you guys use for the oatmeal, Caradin was able to find 6 more of these beads. She says that she wasn't sure who, but that Glimmersleeve had seen someone sneaking in and out of the cart. She believes it was an attempt to, if not kill you guys, kill somebody else within the caravan and frame you guys. As you continue throughout the rest of the day, in your travels, the flying creatures, whose names I forget at this point,
They were
came
Peritons?
back. Yeah, Peritons, thank you. Peritons came and they attempted to attack Zell while she was scouting on the outside. Falar made bringing them down, allowing for some extra fresh meat for the rest of your journey, as well as possible headdresses. And I believe that pretty much covers a good chunk of what we were able to get to last time we were here. So
The little gnome told us that we had to figure out who the cultists were, and that she has a group or a squad of people that can come by the next morning or next night and wipe out either the whole party or specific ones.
That's
You're
right.
right.
We have a time
So
limit.
there's a little bit of a time limit now, and it's not the next day. It was until you guys got to Dragonspear Castle, which what she says she's got to do, and she's going to be aiding you guys in this for the company that she works for, is figuring out who's a cultist and who's not. And the idea is to get the cultists out in front, so when the ambush comes, it takes all of them out. And they would just leave they would leave everyone else alone. You guys are 3 days away from Dragonspear Castle. So you have, 2.5 to figure out which ones are cultists and how do you get them to the front of the line. If not, just murder them in your sleep.
Yeah. I thought she said they could attack early, and I did not remember her saying it was the attack was only going to happen if they were out front. I thought she was going to get word to them to do something else if we could figure it out, like taking out certain parts.
And if they have a standing plan of, if you can't figure it out by Dragonspear, they're going to attack the whole caravan.
Right.
If you guys are able to, they will also act early.
Okay. What's up, Seth?
You guys played 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
last time we
you were
played.
there.
Okay. So
Oh yeah.
I'm confused. Am I supposed to be confused? Was I like passed out the entire time, or?
You were driving a cart. You were part of these conversations, but we didn't have you say anything.
Yeah.
You did have a
So-
couple actions here and there, I think.
Yeah, but I have no idea what's going. Personally, I have no idea what's
Right.
going on right now.
Right.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, from a character standpoint, should I or was I out of the loop?
You were there.
From a character standpoint,
You were there,
Okay.
but weren't spoken directly to. So if all you have in your mind is what we've covered here, honestly, that's probably
Yeah.
pretty accurate.
Yeah.
okay.
The only thing that
Okay.
you super need to know is you healed the hell out of a horse that Mary
Oh my
exploded when her wild magic kind of backfired.
But it
Oh,
only
yeah.
backfired on me and the horse. So
Yeah.
I love an exploding horse. That's
My
awesome.
horse.
It messed up this
Oh
horse.
no!
Yeah.
Yeah, the horse, which
Oh.
was a deep auburn color, is now black.
It is
Oh, no.
permanently black
Oh,
and
no.
has no hair.
Oh no!
It's got hair. It's got hair. It's just really short and
Yeah.
and just smells smoky now.
But
Yeah.
you,
no.
you
Okay.
paladined the hell out of it, and you went over and
No.
laid hands on it, and
Yeah.
it's good. It's
Good
good. He's a good horse
Okay.
now.
It
Yeah,
no,
you did touch the horse.
yeah, it no longer has a saddle,
All right.
but it's good.
But it's also Kirk's
Okay.
horse.
Yeah.
This was Kirk's horse, so
That's sad. That's
Kirk
sad.
owes
We'll have
you
to get him a
one.
new horse.
Yeah.
We'll have to get him a new horse. That's okay. All
Or you
right.
could just keep on
Okay.
this one. There's nothing wrong with
All right.
black horses. Black horses matter.
So,
Just have to get a new saddle
that
for it.
explains Zell's picture that was sent to me a couple weeks ago. Was that a botch that you sent me?
Oh, no, that was the damage I rolled on the fireball. And you notice how many of those
for the
dice were
horse.
not low numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was how I heard a horse.
I saw one, and then like everything else was above 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, she and the horse made the reflex save,
Yeah.
but the horse still died.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
That's what that
But
was.
only technically.
Yeah, only technically we went ahead and hit those death saving
saves.
throws.
Yeah.
I mean, you were literally right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
So
So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Now I'm in the loop. Thank
Yep.
you.
And the little stones that were put in the oatmeal, when they get into your stomach acid, they expand into a dart that has poison in it. So it was a lot worse.
Did
And
I eat?
No, she
What?
thought she pulled them out of Zell's oatmeal,
Oh, okay.
and then we checked the rest of the oats and found them. But the gnome, the description of the person she saw around our cart was Marcus, the mouth.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
hate the mouth.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
so now you're all caught up.
All right.
yeah, and that had happened in the day you guys did your full day of travel,
Yeah.
and you are now at the campsite, to where you will be camping on the second day.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys want to do?
We probably need to come up with a plan. If this ambush can happen in the night while we're camped up, then possibly they could take out the cart with cultists that she knows of, and then possibly steal the cart that we thought we saw treasure fall out of, that belongs to the that the pole is driving.
So of 1, 2, 3, 4 through 9, which is the cart that we have, and which is the cart that we think the cultists are in?
We're number 9.
Okay.
She knows that number 8 is full of cultists. They're all cultists.
Okay.
And number 3 is the cart that the pole drives. No, it's not the cart the pole drives. That is the cart in front of the pole, right?
Right. So carts 2 and 3 belong to Archnie, who's the tanner.
Yeah.
2's the one I felt.
When Kirk was riding up along talking to the pole, some shiny fell out of the back of Archnie's cart. One of the
Yeah, I remember that.
one of his thugs picked it up, quickly tucked it back in.
Right.
Kirk played off like he did not see it
Yeah.
when he clearly did, And that's all that happened there.
Yeah.
So both the Tanner's carts, we were highly suspicious that they're all
It's hard
cultists.
to say. It's hard to say.
They're definitely being secretive.
Right.
Yeah.
But if something fell out of that number 2 cart, and this, if we can get this group to split up into like 3 to 1, make a distraction outside that maybe pulls people out of the camp, and then have a group come in and sack cart 8, and then possibly remove cart 2 away, and then check it and see what it has and leave it. Because if it's got nothing in it, there's no reason to destroy it. This guy's been good to us, decent.
You have suspicion, but not definitive proof.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, like if you're just looking in terms of people who have been secretive, yeah. So yes, definitely cart. Mostly carts 2 and 3 just have assholes. They're not secretive, or they haven't been.
Mouth.
But cart 1, that Say Wizard, he's been secretive like no one's business.
Oh yeah, no, I'm happy to let him drive right up into an ambush. Like I don't even care
Yeah.
if he's a cultist or not.
Cart 7, if you believe Glimmersleeve, you can probably rule out cart 7
Right.
as a cultist cart.
Right.
Well, and
Cart-
Eric's working for her anyway, right?
No, Eric is working for cart 6.
Oh, okay. Yes.
But
Got
she
that.
has been she's been more friendly than cart 1, but has been just as secretive.
Mhm.
I mean, she's literally head to toe covered, wearing a mask that covers all of her features. Cart 5 has been paranoid and secretive.
Yeah.
Cart 4, you've actually seen cart 4's goods
Yeah.
when she set up her stall. So
Right.
so if it's part of the horde, it's got a very good cover story.
Right.
Otherwise, it's what is treasure?
Right.
That's kind of a question you can get out there, because it's mostly like antiques and oddities.
Right.
Antiques and oddities also qualify as the treasure. That's what cart 8 claims they're transporting. So, which to be cultists.
Right. And the other thing is, can we trust Glimmersleeve? Does anyone have any sense motive or anything like that they can help us figure out that she's not a cultist, sending us into, figuring out that we are the people looking for them? You know what I'm saying? It dawned on me last 2 weeks ago, like, oh, what the fuck if she's been sent in to source us out, get us out of the, and then we're going to be part of the ambush.
Yeah.
Well, with what we've said back to her, if they haven't come back with that report and just kicked us out or tried to kick our ass, I think it puts them on fairly low suspicion that she's like a double agent.
Okay.
But the other thing is a few things. Kirk and I were talking about this before everyone got on. Insight is your sense motive check. So there is that. The only time I'd have you have a roll off with insight if it's against another player. Otherwise, it's static DCs. If spells like Zone of Truth, you are not actually compelled to speak in Zone of Truth. So, and they also have, and they could just speak truths that have nothing to do with what you're asking them.
Right.
So that's not a foolproof plan. I had a long debate with somebody about that recently. Technically, you can't command someone to speak the truth, but one thing I do offer, and this is for everybody, if you've got a spell that you want to alter in some way, let me know. We could hash it out. So, like, if you wanted to take like if you had the command spell and you wanted to command someone to say the truth, to answer one question truthfully, I would see that as like, okay, level 2 spell. This is taking it one extra step up, in my opinion. Okay, let's call that a level 3 spell. And obviously, you could apply those kind of things to anyone could apply those kind of things, but it's like RP purposes wise, it's like, oh, you did the research on this. Oh, you're doing some synergy between Zone of Truth and Command because you know both of those spells, and so basically, I just need a good reason for why you would research that spell, and I'll probably give it to you.
Or do we just want to try an insider altogether while we're talking to her, just to figure out the majority?
I thought we had.
I don't remember doing that. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. And I don't know. I don't know if anybody has that kind of spell. I don't know. I haven't seen you guys' spell list or anything. Does anyone have anything that we might utilize for finding out truth here or getting somebody?
Yeah, I have command.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. So you have command.
And you can cast level 3 spells?
No. I think I'm on 2nd level spells. So no. Sorry.
You also have Zone of Truth.
Do I?
Which is always prepared for you.
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, I have 2nd level Zone of Truth and 2nd level command, but not 3rd level.
Well, with the time frames that we're dealing with here, we've been very, 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 very passive with everything we've done to find out information so far. It might be time to be a little bit more aggressive, maybe, but then again, it could give us away.
Right.
And could mess up the ambush that's about to happen. So, I don't know. There's risk both ways.
So I guess if we're going to talk to her again,
as a character, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. So I guess if we're going to talk to her again and see if we can set up a different kind of ambush that would create a lot of distraction and a lot of chaos, and that way we could assist in getting, cart 8 taken care of, destroyed or whatever, and then cart 2 at least removed and checked, or have us get in there and actually look around for stuff. That's what I've been thinking the last couple weeks. Like a huge distraction off in the woods. It sounds like trolls or some sort of tribal something, where a lot of the cart 1 people would go off, and maybe cart 2 and 3 people would go off, and then we could do some stuff that way. I can still cast silence. So over cart 8, I can cast that, and then a fight can ensue, and it won't be drawing people back unless they're physically looking at it.
My only concern would be, have we seen anything at all ever yet that has convinced cart 1 to not ford up?
Not ford up.
I heard ford up, and that was it.
to leave. Okay, have we?
They run off when these bird things attacked? Did they start to? They just circled up.
Yeah, they. So when the birds attacked, the head knight in charge, he immediately ordered circle up, and everyone did that, and everyone went into a defensive position.
Right.
The only people who came out to Zell were you guys.
Right.
Falar got a little closer so that he would be more in bow range, but still ultimately was like with his lady.
Yeah, it's just I'm concerned trying to lure away cart 1 in any sense, because they've never shown any proclivity to leave their cart and the wizard ever.
I wasn't planning on messing with cart 1 in this ambush.
Okay.
Cart 2 and cart 8 are the ones I think we really need to figure out, because if it does come down to they're going to attack the caravan anyway, then they can take out the first cart, if they want. I don't know.
Okay, no, but you were saying needed to draw them away.
If they could be drawn away, that'd be great.
Okay.
Especially if the way they're parked at night, if the sound was coming out in the woods closest to them. That was my only hope, that they would go out to investigate or whatever.
and just take off.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it were on the other side of the camp.
A couple horses with drums on them, they're just beating crazily. And when they see people coming, they just either retreat or take off and then beat them some more. Something like that.
Okay. Just so you know, for the most part, you guys are still in, like, there are some like small patches of trees here and there, and some rock outcroppings. But for the most part, you guys are still in a largely plains area.
Okay. So when they were going to ambush, how are they going to do it in a plains area?
So Dragonspear Castle,
It's a ruin.
it's a ruin, and B, on just east of it, just west of it, that's where Trollbark Forest starts in earnest, and they were going to come from there.
Oh, well.
And the idea was to attack from the west to eastward, essentially driving you guys towards Dragonspear Castle and the High Moor, both of which believed to be cursed.
So do we want to do a running battle where everyone can circle up and then be on super defensive, or do we want to have some sort of ambush at night where it's more of a surprise and shock and chaos?
Do we care about anybody else?
That is also a question. Because now,
I mean, we're a pretty defensive and offensive carriage. Do we care about what happens to anybody else, really?
No. My character,
I mean,
not exactly.
Yeah. I think my character does. Yeah, so yeah. Never mind. I take that back.
Are we a resource enough to take out all the other carriages?
Ooh.
That's
tough.
It's good to say, we don't care about this. Are we going to physically go out and kill everybody in cart 7 except for the gnome, who she believes the rest of her group is okay? Do we go up against the Wizard of Thay? I don't know.
We also need to hide the cultist robes that we have.
Right.
I hadn't thought about that.
What about those?
Andrew, can you say something?
Oh, I was moving around, so I muted myself.
Gotcha. I heard you. I saw your mouth moving, and I thought that we might have lost you.
No. I was laughing. But yeah, no, I had been shifting around in my chair trying to get comfortable, and it's real loud.
So in this chaos, can we search carts while stuff's happening? While another group is taking out cart 8, who we've been confirmed that they are cultists. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's 4 of us.
You are also, to be perfectly honest, nothing is really stopping you from attempting to search carts at night yourself. There are guards, so you'd have to sneak around them, so it'd be more of a stealth mission thing. But
I don't think that most people sleep in their carts anyway.
Yeah.
No, most people sleep around them.
Yeah.
Well,
and one bad roll
cart
on the first cart, and the jig's up. I mean, that's another.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It also begs
if
the
we were all
question.
thieves, sure, let's try it. We are not all fucking thieves.
Yeah.
Well, and Eric has already tried searching one of the carts, and without actually breaking through locks, like he found everything he could.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it begs the question: what are we looking for? Like, what would indicate to us that any of these people with what they're carrying would be cultists? Is it just as simple as totems or robes? I mean,
so
it's supposed to be treasure and arms, isn't it?
Yeah, treasure and arms. So.
Well, I mean, is that alone enough to eliminate some of these people as cultists? Like, can we go through our list and just say, well, these guys aren't carrying what the cultists would be carrying, so they are not suspect.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying is, so Fowler wasn't there for this, but you guys saw the actual treasure hoard that is supposed to be being transported north. And it was large amounts of coins and gems and high pieces of jewelry and weaponry. Like it is very much your stereotypical treasure.
Right.
So it seems like we might be able to eliminate some of these people right there. Like the exotic animals cart, that's probably not what the cultists are going to be moving around.
So a few things. Not trying to, just being devil's advocate. You haven't actually seen what's inside.
Right.
Okay.
You hear animals in there, but you haven't actually seen what's inside the cart.
Okay.
And that's one thing. And like I said, also like the fur trader's cart, his are all open, but how deep are those furs?
Right.
It's a very, it's brimmed with fur as far as you can tell, but that could only be 3 furs deep, and then the rest is all just gold
So.
Well, and which cart was it that Valar actually searched and found? Was it the Pole's cart that had the that was piled with furs, but then there were trapdoors underneath that had space underneath that you couldn't get into?
That I don't remember.
I think it was.
I think it was one of the Tanner carts. I don't remember.
Yeah,
It was specifically, but yeah, it was one of the Tanner carts.
So something that I think we should do here real quick, because we've kind of screwed up here a little bit by not having the spreadsheet early when we were doing stuff with these cards. And again, I don't know that we realized we should have done that. So, Andrew, I hate to ask this of you as a DM, but can you kind of refresh us a little bit about what we know about these cards? So like Mary said, I know one of the Tanner cards was searched, partially well. I just noted on there that the secret animal or the exotic animals I'm putting on there unsearched. I'm going to put that for each thing is either searched or unsearched. So we know what we need to do here.
On the far right.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just typing a few things here real quick. So one of them so the first Tanner's cart we know had a false locked bottom.
Okay. So cart 2.
Yeah.
And that's the one, if we can get people to come in and hitch up and take it off into the woods somewhere, search it thoroughly, and then just leave it if there's nothing in there. I mean, it can be recovered.
Okay, making some quick notes here.
Yeah, because I'm willing to risk some, but not for no reason. You know what I mean? Like if we have low suspicion of something, I'm not willing to risk much.
Right.
But if there's high suspicion, I'm willing to throw down.
Yeah, and if there's a lot of chaos, it's going to be easier to make sneak checks and get in and out and do things.
Yep, exactly.
And so maybe if this does happen in that group, and the group can take off cart 2, in the chaos with what's left behind, maybe I can get into the cart 3 and really search it while everyone's chasing it down.
Okay.
What's Valar going to have to do? Who is he going to be able to run around, or is he going to be stuck watching a cart? Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of depends. So running down through things really quick.
To say the color for the for position 8, the cart 8, the color for those cultists is just horrendous.
You don't like that army?
Whoever picked that
olive
congratulations. It's not. It's like mustard army green. It's really, really awful. It's really congratulations. That was a perfect cultist color for some reason.
Wait, that's a green? I thought it was just brown.
Yeah, that's brown.
brown.
Yeah,
Is it
that's
brown?
Browntown, man.
No, it's on my computer. It's disgusting. It's gross.
Oh, it's
color.
gross.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
We're not debating the grossness.
It's a mustard
So
brown.
some notes I just quickly mentioned, things you would have observed as you were traveling.
Okay.
The trailer that is being pulled by the Wizard of Thea's carriage, that seems to have like their supplies in it every time they stop and start. So you guys haven't gotten too close to like really search, but unless there's something physically in the carriage with the Wizard of Thay,
Yeah.
you've seen what they're carrying. The one that had the false bottom and something shiny fell out. Okay. One of the guards from cart 3 was the one that picked up and hid the shiny.
Okay.
Back into cart 2, because they all kind of just amorphous blob together. Cart 4, you have not searched it, but you saw what they were selling at back in Borskier Bridge. Didn't really fit with the treasure hoard you had seen before.
Right.
Cart 5, you've got nothing. Yeah. You guys haven't even been able to get close to it. Cart 6.
Didn't I buy something off of them to eat?
No. You tried to get them a deal on getting their cart fixed, and Oin just kind of told you to fuck off.
Yeah.
I also delivered a bag of dead rats.
Yes, you did. Carriage 6. Aside from that, the woman inside, seems friendly. You don't really know much about them. Position 7, you guys know nothing except for that Glimmer Sleeve is one of their guards. Yeah. And she is pointing a finger at cart 8, saying that they are cultists.
Okay.
Other than what Glimmer Sleeve has said, we don't know for sure.
Correct.
Provided you believe her, as Kirk pointed out.
Yeah. Sorry.
She was the one that clued us in on the oatmeal.
Yeah.
And blamed
Marco
for it. So that is easily a potential cover-up plot right there.
Right.
I just have to say that because it's all of that is her word.
Right. Yeah, I mean that was my concern. That what if she's the cultist, the new cultists, and position 8, cart 8 is full of, the faction that wants to kill the cultists, and they've been sent in, and she has us eliminate them, helps us eliminate them. I don't know.
I don't know if this matters much or not, but have we ever seen cultists that weren't human?
Yeah,
or kobold.
The kobolds, yeah.
Yeah, you saw. You've seen human, elf, half elf, kobold,
some big
dragonborn, half dragon.
Dragonborn.
Okay,
yeah.
So that answers my question. We can't eliminate anybody just because of their species, really.
Yeah. Admittedly, you have not seen anything short in cultist robes.
Right.
Yeah.
However, that doesn't mean they don't come in children's sizes.
Yeah. So again, I think we need to talk to her and see if we could do insight rolls on her to see if she's even telling the truth.
Yeah, and maybe sneak a peek at what's going on in her. Is that a? It's a box wagon.
Yeah, it's just got a
covered wagon. Yeah,
she is a covered wagon. With the whole frame and the actual pitch going up and over.
Yeah, so that's like a tarp or muslin or something like that, where we could probably. It's not too difficult to break into those.
Yeah, usually canvas.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is we could ask her if she'd be willing to show us what's in the cart as a show of faith.
Yeah,
Sure. I think that's like probably one of our first steps to see how much we can trust Glimmersleeve.
Yeah.
Second level zone of truth will not work, correct?
It would work as written, but it doesn't compel people
Right.
to speak. Like they can choose to stay silent.
So you can cast it in her unknowing, in her unknowing space, and in conversation, what she would say while she's there would come out as truth.
I'd have to look at it really quick. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, I feel like it would
Because
do that.
I think they're also like.
I think they know that.
Yeah, it's
that they're being
save.
Oh yeah, I imagine it's a save.
But basically, they can still take the fifth. Essentially, they don't have to say anything. Right. It's just that whatever they do say has to be true.
Well, but I mean that alone says a lot. If someone pleads the fifth,
yeah,
that because she's already given us information, she shouldn't all of a sudden be hesitant.
Yeah, it's a charisma saving throw. So it seems like it wouldn't hurt anything just to go ahead and cast that spell once we're there.
Okay, on a failed save, she can't speak a deliberate lie while in the radius.
Right, but she doesn't have to answer.
Right.
She could just sit there and give name, rank, serial number.
Right.
But it doesn't indicate that she's aware that the spell's being cast because the save can be
The affected creature is aware of the spell, and thus can avoid.
Oh, it is aware? Okay.
Yeah. But we know whether or not they've succeeded their saving throw or not.
Mm.
So if we
the
know
caster knows, yes.
So Seth would know.
So in my opinion, again, I don't mind if any of this gets varied. We should kind of have a little faith at first, but only on the level that step one should be.
Right.
See if we can check her cart out. And if that doesn't work, I'm full in to go spell.
Right.
Well, the other thing is, again, we could just ask her if she'd be willing to submit to the spell. Like if we're if we're going into this with we want to believe you,
right?
Prove it to us,
right?
Yeah,
please.
That's honorable. I'm down.
Yeah.
Give us something to go off of other than your word.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm down. I'm totally down with that.
Okay. That sounds like a good first step.
That sounds less complicated to Zell than the roundabout way of trying to convince people that they're not doing what you're doing, and etc. It's
right.
Well, and I'm not so bound as a paladin, but I'm still a fairly honorable guy.
Right.
You'd prefer to not commit needless murder, but sometimes people die.
Right.
Or even just flat out thievery or breaking and entering. I'd rather not do.
Right.
All right. Okay. So coming back into our reimmersion of this, it is beginning of sundown. You guys have parked for the evening. A lot of people are rolling out their sleeping bags and mats for the evening. Those who have tents are throwing them up. Currently, the Wizard of Fae's driver and his little stable boy are pitching the big tent.
That's the innuendo. Sorry.
That's right.
In the driver's endo.
It made me laugh too.
Lady Yzma's halflings are putting up her privacy wall that she has it's just some really thick canvas sheets that they put up there. People are lighting fires, just getting ready for the evening.
Okay.
You have two huge carcasses on top.
We did.
I thought we already cooked one.
Yeah, I thought we did barbecue the first night.
Carcasses of what?
Mm-hmm.
Carcasses of what?
Okay, this
giant,
is okay.
Giant
Is that still night?
cesspit.
This is still that night, right? Like we just got done.
Yeah, this is still that night.
Okay. So we did barbecue for these bird-like creatures that attacked us. These things were big though, like about the size of a horse.
Big enough for an elf to ride.
Yeah.
Eat 'em up.
Zell and Carradine, you guys, with how lightly you travel and are armored, you could have. Falar with his armor would have been too heavy. If that gives you the line.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of important for you to know, Cespedes. You have a full tummy right now, man. You got like a full leg of this thing.
I've been eating leg after leg of raw. What were they called?
They're Perytons.
Perrytons.
Peryton.
I've been eating leg after leg of Perrytons.
The other thing I want to tell you that
Raw.
you did
I'm happy.
that was actually super useful is when we were dealing with the oatmeal, you were able to cast Purify Food on that oatmeal and get rid of the poison. So I know you weren't here, but thank you.
It was.
I thought that was a useless spell.
Nope. You cleaned out the entire cart. That's how big the radius was.
Awesome.
I think we had to do 2 castings in order to get it, but yeah.
Hey. What a useless spell, but hey, it worked.
Yeah.
No, man.
When you need it, you need it, and it's clutch.
Yeah.
But it's very situational.
Yeah. All right, so I guess everyone's full. I guess we need to get a hold of Glimmer. He can get her to come over and talk to her.
Yeah, I'm not going to be there for that. I'm going to be kind of standing by over towards cart 6.
Okay.
Just guarding.
Okay.
Doing your day job. All right.
Yep.
I'm actually going to pull that up on mine, so I just have the map. Nope, wrong one. This one. Yes. Sorry. Yeah, so we'll say, you've already had your dinner. It's post-dinner. There's still drinking and general revelry going on.
Right.
So, Carradine, you had mentioned flagging down Glimmer.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
If we're kind of backtracking a little bit, hadn't we arranged to meet with her after dinner for a talk anyway?
I don't remember.
Or did that conversation happen separately? How are we doing this?
I think, yeah, she said, let's talk tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we had that conversation the last time, but I don't remember.
Right. Then if I'm not needed in the questioning, I'm going to not be a total distraction, but I'm going to kind of sit out in the middle and play the flute and kind of get everyone's not complete attention, but at least become a focal point so she can meet with us and it's not a total, they're usually out playing music every night and where are they at? And everyone's hiding behind the cart talking sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, good idea.
So,
okay. So that leaves questioning to Zell and Cespedes.
Yeah.
go guys, go. Get your RP on.
Right. But
You have to personally make charisma rolls.
yeah, the charisma I'm fine with. It's the knowing what's going on and having like any in character. That's the hard part.
I don't.
So with all the camp set up and dinner had, Glimmer comes over, unclips the mug from her belt, and just goes, I heard you guys have wine?
That we do. Now I go immediately lead her around to the back of the cart where we can get into it and tap keg or a bottle. We have bottles of wine.
Do we still have, just so from my knowledge, character-wise, do we still have gin?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we got
All right.
everything.
And
So
no, you
we
don't
can-
have bottles of wine. You have a cask.
A cask, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big boy of wine. It's a big boy of your boy of gin.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
So on my roll for performance, I got a 20. I rolled 15, then it was modified up. But so that's my performance in the middle, trying to get people to all kind of keep an eye on me instead of, watching other people at other camps.
Yeah, and
I might even walk in a circle.
And as you do that, one of the guards from cart 7, one of the dwarf guards. Mm-hmm. He actually pulls out like a little hand drum, but it's like I think it's called or maybe just like a skin round or something like that with a little handle. He just starts hitting a little beat that goes along with it. Okay. You're playing a version of a folk song that he's heard. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I can go with this."
Yeah, something kind of
really
something upbeat.
Yeah, and the drum just seems to add this little extra oomph to it, where a lot of people seem to almost have gotten quiet or have like they've taken their conversations down a notch so they could actually hear you.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say distraction achieved.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe that'll give you some advantage or something for sneaky stuff with the questioning.
Still on so back to Cespedes and Zell.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to sort things out in my head because, like I said, this is a conversation that I thought we already had, but I don't remember what was said in which conversation. So,
I definitely don't remember.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, you know what? I believe. Okay. I think I know where we ended the conversation. So in the morning, she said, "Let's talk." In the evening, that's when she told you about the potential ambushes and stuff.
Yeah, because I didn't think we wanted to talk that in the open. We waited until night.
Right. And we'll say what's going on then is you guys had a mini powwow, decided you need to find a way to trust her.
Okay.
And now we're here.
Okay. So yeah, well, I, take her around back of the wagon. Cespedes coming along, hopefully, because that's the whole point.
Of course.
Climb in, tap a keg, pour a drink, one for me. Look at Cespedes and don't bother.
I'm not drinking yet.
Yeah, that's again, don't bother. And kind of find a is there like a tailgate or something to sit on the back of the wagon?
Oh, you guys had like benches and stuff added?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, inside. There's plenty of we could just hang out inside. I didn't even think about that.
Because now we're parking the wagon ass toward the center so that no one can sneak on our cart anymore.
Yeah. So like if you wanted to, you could have like the door open and you could still see the fire and hear the music, or you could close the door.
Yeah.
Right.
On the tailgate.
What?
I'll just sit on the tailgate and kind of prop my leg up and listen in as you guys are inside.
Aren't you doing the spell,
Okay,
buddy?
because I was going to suggest actually closing the door, and we need to talk to
then
you directly.
Then I will come in. Never mind.
In case it goes wrong.
Well, and also just, we don't need people looking around and going, why is he casting a spell over there?
Right.
Like, what's...
Fair enough.
Because Zone of Truth does have verbal and semantic components.
Yeah.
So something to keep in mind.
True. Okay. Fair enough.
No material, though. So.
No, if he's casting it divinely, they rarely do. I said rarely. There. So...
Roll that one.
But you don't have to roll to cast the spell.
I was just kidding. It was a bad joke. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, so pour drinks, offer her a seat, sit down, ask Cespedes to close the door on his way in.
She takes her seat and goes, "Ooh, comfy," and goes like, "Oh, we're having a real conversation." Okay.
Well, I mean, it's one of those. So we talked it over a little bit, and we want to know. We want to make sure we can trust you. We really do want to believe you. But again, we're dealing with cultists and insidious things. So
she bats her eyes, and you can just, without even rolling, you feel the sass coming off of her. Did I freeze?
No, you did at the beginning. I heard bats the eyes and feel the sass, but I didn't hear anything she actually said.
Oh, she said, "Does this look like a face that would lie to you?" Bats her eyes, and you can feel the sass coming off of her.
Okay,
that's a lot different.
That makes more sense. I mean, I don't think so, but I'm also not the best judge of, people. So.
She goes, "Well, if it makes you feel any better, yes, I would lie to you if it served my own needs."
That is good to know.
So I'm going to look at Zell and I'm going to say, is it time?
I mean, okay, so basically my question here is, can you prove what you're saying?
Which part? I've told you a lot of things.
You have. But can you prove that you're either not a cultist or actively working to find them?
I can prove the ambush by making it happen almost whenever you guys want it to.
Right.
As far as not a cultist, I mean, mostly, if a cultist doesn't have all their say they're not a cultist, thus making it hard to prove. Also, so I don't think that's necessarily something I could prove, that I'm not a cultist. Because even then, let's be fully honest here, it's not like I could kill one and prove myself, because they kill each other all the time.
Yeah, that's true. Seen that. No, we might have a workaround around that. Would you be willing to say that you are not a cultist definitively within a compulsion that makes you speak the truth?
You see her look up for a moment. Trust does go both ways. So I will only answer questions that pertain to this mission and nothing about my past.
That's acceptable. And if it makes you feel any better, we'll be sitting in the same spell. If you had questions or doubts.
All right, that's fair.
I look at Cespedes.
Then I'm going to cast the spell.
Okay. What is the...
It's a 15-foot radius.
Here we go.
It is a charisma throw. Yeah, a charisma save. And on a failed save, the creature can't speak a deliberate lie.
Okay. You said it's 15?
Yes.
You feel her resisting, but eventually it does give way.
Does it affect everybody in the area?
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Well, Seth would know that I just natural 20'd my saving throw.
Yes, Seth would know that.
Yeah. So she failed her save, or she relaxed it?
Glimmersleeve failed hers.
Okay.
Zell
Made
beat
it.
the shit out of it.
Also did.
You also beat it?
If I needed to beat the shit out of it, I rolled a 19.
Yeah. So the two of you are fine. She got a 14.
Ah,
That's close.
just barely.
Yeah, barely.
That's fair. It's not foolproof. But yeah. So kind of let the whatever magic it is settle around, because this is not magic I'm familiar with. This is weird. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And so what ends up happening is like cart, and for the most part, it's contained inside the cart. But you kind of like feel a compulsionary effect wash over you. But you guys are able to resist it. Seth, you know that you feel Glimmer like actively resisting, and it almost feels like the spell doesn't take, but then you feel it, hook and set into her.
I just imagine some really truthful chickens hanging out under the cart right now.
Oh yeah, chicken court is happening now.
Anyway,
I guess in knowing that, I'll let Zell know that she's ready to speak the truth.
Yes. And when you say that, she goes, "Only to what we agreed. If you ask me a question that is not part of the mission or is about my past, then I will leave and not answer it."
I have no. My only concern right now is for this mission. So.
And I believe you.
And I believe that you believe me. But so we have no cultist ties that are not word that I'm looking for that is the adjective form of animosity. My brain just died. Never mind. We don't have any antagonistic. Antagonistic is the word that I was looking for. We have no cultist ties that are antagonistic. Do you?
She kind of looks back and forth. She's like, I don't understand what you just said.
What I meant was, if I can't just say we have no cultist ties because we've clearly seen a bunch of them, killed several of them. So what I'm saying is we have no cultist ties that aren't antagonistic.
So wouldn't it just be easier to say that you are not cultists?
Cultists? Yeah, I could have said that, but that would have made more sense. We're not cultists. Are you?
I do not belong to the cult of the dragon. No.
Okay. That makes me feel better.
Good.
Hunting the cult.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Are you hunting the cult?
Yes, just as I said, my superiors have planned an ambush to take out the whole caravan, regardless of who's part of it. I convinced them that maybe spilling innocent blood isn't the best course of action, and that we could, and I asked for a chance to suss out who are cultists and who are not as best as possible. So yes, I am actively investigating who the cultists are, specifically so they can die.
If they take out the caravan, does that include you?
No, I have an escape route.
And the people you're traveling with?
They do not.
Okay. But you are sure that they are not cultists?
I thoroughly investigated their cart. It's mostly dried. Nothing that anyone would consider a valued treasure, except for maybe a farmer.
Okay. And this is Mary trying to remember. Did she say she was with the Harpers or just knew that we were kind of working with them?
She knew you were working with them.
Okay. Okay. So she hasn't said that she's working, who she's working for, has she?
She has not. No.
Okay. You say you're superiors, so you are working with an organization to take down the cult?
Yes.
Are you willing to tell us more about them?
No.
So, okay. So if the ambush happens as it stands, what is the plan to try to get anybody who we find innocent? What is the plan?
Ideally, we have them further back. And so the ambush then hits the front of the cart, the front of the train, and those of us in back can form our own mini circle to protect ourselves. And I have a way of signaling that we should be left to be safe.
Escape route?
No,
or
no.
Is that a separate thing?
That's a separate thing.
Why wouldn't we all use your escape route?
Because it only works for one person.
Yeah. How flexible can we be with this ambush? Like, can we just call it in at a different time, or can they do something other than just attack?
She sits and she thinks. She reaches, takes a sip of wine. If we're going to call it early, I'll need at least a day. And the method that I've been told that they're going to use, it's really only good for a massive attack /
I heard massive attack / and nothing else.
Oh, assault.
Okay. Okay. I look over at Cespedes. I'm like, I think that answers all the questions I had.
I have 2.
You have 2?
It's all I have as well.
Oh, okay.
I also only heard have 2, and I was like,
Ah,
I don't know what that
fair
means.
enough. Fair enough.
Well, then I guess our next what we have to do is figure out who is or is not a cultist. Did you have any way more sure than going around and looking through people's carts at night to figure that out?
I mean, it really is the only way to be sure, and it's more or less my special. And finding what's behind a locked door is more or less my specialty.
I'm looking over at Cespedes and at my cell phone going, yeah, because it's not ours.
How many cards have you looked through again?
Let's see. This makes 2.
Talking about our cart makes 2.
Yes.
Including yours.
Yes.
And that's your speciality.
I've had 2 days, and I've searched 2 carts.
Okay.
Wait, so she hasn't searched cart 8 yet? Or she just heard what was inside?
Searching cart 8 yet.
What I gathered is
She
searched her cart and our cart, and that's it.
Right, I know, but she also told us that she thought cart 8 were cultists, and so why?
She heard them in Borskir talking.
Okay.
As far as I know, as far as I remember.
You can ask her about them. About cart 8.
No, I know that was literally me trying to figure out, because I thought she had searched and so she had found stuff inside, and that's what she told us. I didn't remember. But if she said she only searched 2 carts, then yeah, then that's my next question is, but then how are you so sure that the cart full of cultists is a cart full of cultists?
I had overheard them speaking in Borskir Bridge. My superiors sent someone else to further investigate that cart. And just because if I was caught, that would really hurt my standing in doing this.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So they sent somebody else, and they brought back. They left the container filled with some very heavy rocks, but brought its contents back to us, and it was a very sizable sum of gems, gold, and pearls. Something you wouldn't expect an antique dealer to be selling.
Oh no, something that sounds very much like a dragon treasure offering.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a shame,
yeah,
though. The chest that is in is very pretty.
So wait, did they return the items, or did they leave them with a chest full of rock?
My colleague replaced the contents of that chest that he searched with rocks of equal weight. So when they move it, at the very least, it feels the same weight.
Okay.
A little bait and switch.
Mm-hmm. Leaving you slightly wealthier, and treasure hoard slightly more rocky.
I won't see a dime of that.
No, I meant a general you. I understand. Okay, so that leaves us with a whole bunch of other things that we need to do, because we have not managed to get into any of the other carts, not seriously. One of our companions took a look around the lead tanner's cart, but was stymied by a couple of locked doors and a false bottom.
When you say false bottom, you hear you like her head tilts a little bit and her eyebrows raise. Like, I could look into that. That sounds like the next stop for me on this evening.
Okay. And do you have any interest in all in actually checking out the Wizard of Thay's carriage, or are we just letting them lead their way into an ambush?
She does take a deep breath and kind of looks, and you see her hands come up and she starts to fidget with them a little bit. And she goes, you know what's going to be interesting for me is whatever comes out of my mouth is going, so I get to find out how I feel about this just along with the rest of you. Am I fine with racist zealots being murdered in cold blood? Yes.
Oh, good, because I am too.
Will you betray us?
Oh, if it suits me, absolutely.
What kind of things would suit you to betray us?
My life.
Okay, just survival thing?
Enough money. I'm not a good person. I've never claimed to be.
Seething in my head, I want to just throw my hammer at this person.
Okay. Well, it sounds like if we want to change the ambush at all, we need to act fast. If you need a whole day, and we've only got 2.5 before we get to where we're going.
Yeah, if you were going to change it, just because it takes a little bit of time to move those people
right
into position, and they're going to want to do it at night. Just be sure.
No, makes sense. Well, then I guess we should go figure out what we can find out tonight.
Okay. I'll investigate those tanner carts if you guys want to look somewhere else. That way we can divide and conquer this.
We will do our best.
That makes me nervous.
Zell was not comforted by her own words either, so...
Walk away by saying I'm watching you.
She does a slow stand-up, kind of pushing her butt out a little bit and arching her back, and does a big stretch, just goes, do you like what you see?
Zell laughs into her wine.
No.
Your loss. She walks over the wine, fills up her cup a little bit, and proceeds out the door.
It's comfortable.
Well, we should go figure out what's going on. Hop out of the cart. Close the door behind me.
Yeah.
Where is Fowler?
I am over at cart 6. Kind of scouting around between cards. I don't know, 7 and 5, bouncing around, coming towards them a little bit, but mostly just kind of keeping an outside check. Mostly centered around cart 6.
Okay.
Yeah, this would be Falar's shift, so can eat and get some rest.
You're breaking up again. Sorry.
Sorry, I said, yeah, we'll call this your shift, so that way her halfling escorts and can eat and get some rest before their shifts later on.
Okay, yeah. So I'm basically on duty at Cart 6, and I'm just patrolling that general area.
Yep.
I can go a little far away, though, without probably being suspicious.
Right, or even just be on the outside of the circle and while everybody else is inside it.
Yep.
That's kind of what I figured. I'd be able to find you at least a little bit away from where we can have a quiet conversation.
Yeah, and I would say that when it comes to stationing guards, between carts or on the outside of the circle.
Makes sense.
All right. So, yeah. So, I interrupted you and you were talking, so I'm going to be quiet.
I thought you were going to continue setting up what was going on, but that's fine. No, I look around, and since Carradine is still in the middle of a crowd of people, entertaining them, I go find Fowler. Kirk looked frozen for a minute until he blinked. I was confused. Yeah, in a quiet conversation, as far as wanting to ambush and destroy cultists, Glimmersleeve is on the up and up. I explained that, did you say something, Eric?
Yeah, sorry. What did she tell you?
Just under a truth spell that's the case, that the ambush is intended for the cultists. She has a way out if it ended up being everything, but if we can gather the people who are not cultists behind the rest of them, we can ford up and she can wave off the attack. We could move the ambush up by as much as a day, but it takes a while for them to move and get into position. So, and she also said they're probably not good for much aside from a straight up attack. If we wanted to use their attack as a distraction and do things like steal carts, we would have to do that ourselves, I think.
With you, or am I still in the cart?
We all are. I left the cart. I assumed you did too.
Okay.
And then I went to find Fowler, so you could still be with me. I don't know.
I wasn't sure. You said you get out of the cart and close the door, and I wasn't sure if I was like, I got the door closed in my face or what.
Oh no. I assumed you walked out first, actually, because you said parting words
fair.
to Glimmersleeve.
Yeah, that's fair. So in that case, then I'm just gonna also throw in the fact that, by the way, she said she'd betray us.
She said she'd betray us specifically if somebody offered her more money or if somebody threatened to kill her, which seems fair.
Oh, I misunderstood then. I said, will you betray us? And she immediately said yes.
Yeah, and then I asked her to clarify. And
that's fair. Okay. That's fair.
Things like, I asked her what kinds of things would make her betray us, and she said things like, just save my life, or if somebody offered me more money. Yeah.
Fair. Okay.
So she may be a mercenary here.
Yes. But right now she's working for a group of people who want to destroy cultists. And she is not a cultist.
Okay.
Well, she is not a cultist of the dragon cult.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess that's the most important part here.
Yeah.
Did she mention anything, any other information, or have tasks for us to try to find out who else might be cultists?
She is going to go look through those locked doors that you couldn't get through. She's
And
going
how
to
is
try
she
to do
gonna
that
do that?
tonight. Apparently, she's good with locks and doors.
Ah, that is good to know.
Right. Something that none of us are. But if we can find out anything else, we should do so. Yeah, we left on a kind of divide and conquer note.
Okay. I'm also working on a plan to separate people once we find out who we want to have not in the main attack.
Okay. How far have you gotten on that plan?
Well, what I think is so we don't think that the cart that had the broken axle or the cracked axle got repair, correct? Like, do we know that?
The animal people.
Yeah, the animal
Yeah, I think
people.
it's the animal.
As far as you know, that didn't get repaired. You haven't been by to inspect it yourself since you guys left, but yeah, as far as you know, it has not been repaired.
So my plan so far is we really need a good excuse for a group to hang back, and if we can clear the exotic animal cart, it wouldn't take much more to sabotage that axle and have it break, which would give us a really good excuse to have a certain group hang back for repair while the rest move forward.
Yeah. Yeah, at the very least, that means we need to eliminate them as cultists before we do that, because
Right.
that would kind of
if
counter
you think this is a good plan, it hinges on them being cleared in order for us to consider them innocents to be saved in this ambush. So if we want to go with that plan, I think that might be a primary objective, is to scout that cart and see what we can find.
Agreed. What kind of cart is it, Drew?
It's just a cart. It's pulled by 2 horses. It does have 4 wooden walls and a wooden roof.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess that would make it a box cart.
Okay. Yeah.
Eric, were you able to search the cart you're working for?
It's a carriage. It's not even a full-blown cart.
Right. Like, I was able to get at least a peek inside. I didn't, quote unquote, check. I didn't roll anything to see what I could see. That is a part. I do want to do that. That's kind of meta, but I want to make sure that I'm accepted before rooting around. But that is on my agenda.
Okay.
And I mean, like,
Kirk, did you say working for?
Yes, he got her to commission some work for him for security. That's why he's up by her cart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say between the unloading and loading of stuff with carriage 6, while you haven't really helped too much with that, you have actively, like, when the door opens, you've seen inside, and there's like 2 trunks in there. And that's really it, aside from the noblewoman and the handmaid. On top, there's another trunk and another trunk hanging off of the back. Like, the larger one is hanging off the back, and you haven't been through any of those. On top is where they seem to keep the canvases for that get unpacked and packed regularly, but no one really seems to go in to the trunks.
Okay.
So 3 uninvestigated trunks.
Okay.
And you're pretty certain, because you're the one who's seen false bottoms at this point.
Yeah.
There isn't a false bottom to this carriage. You're pretty certain about that.
Okay. Do I need to roll?
So there is not.
Right.
Falar is pretty certain there is not a false bottom to this one.
Okay.
I wasn't, the end of that word clipped out. I wasn't sure.
Would I need to roll anything because I'm not the smartest elf? With the knowledge that you just gave here to deduce whether there's quote unquote treasure to give to a horde, or does it seem to be supplies to support travel only?
I wouldn't do an intelligence. I would do an insight, because this is like trusting your gut.
Gotcha.
What does your gut tell you?
I'm going to go ahead and roll that, and I got an 8.
8. You kind of, and this is where like your gut and your head start to fight. Your head tells you, it's like, you could hide treasure in those trunks. Your gut tells you this is most likely just a noblewoman traveling. You know, they travel with, which your head then reminds you, that's a perfect disguise. Rich people people who are supposed to look rich, you know, generally have money on them, so no one would question why they would. That's kind of the tug of war that's happening with you right now.
Okay. Would you allow me to kind of do another insight check on the people themselves, towards this gut feeling again of their activities as I watch and monitor as I'm traveling with them? Of, do they, you know, insight wise, nothing solid, but would my gut tell me that these guys are acting suspicious or acting any way that would show me that they're up to a devious plot, or, you know, something that would indicate that they're acting like what I think a cultist would look like?
Yeah, anyone can do that for anyone at any point. You can go, what does my gut tell me, and roll an insight. That's literally what that skill is for.
Again, that probably doesn't tell us anything really either, right? Like, I mean,
it tells you what you
rely on.
How much do you trust your gut? That's kind of a personal question. I will tell you that Lady Imsa is highly unusual. You've seen noble women before, and yes, they do tend to wear longer gowns that cover more, but you've literally never seen this woman's flesh. Like her mask completely covers her face. She's got full length gloves, and full long sleeves, high boots, a long dress that goes all the way down to the ground.
But it's all like thematic, you know. You were telling us.
Oh yeah, it's very thematic.
Yeah, it's very, very thematic, which is kind of where I was going with this insight here. Like, there tends to be a lot of information that's just available here with what I see to lead me to believe that they're part of a theme that has nothing to do with cultists.
Or at the very least, I would definitely say with what she's wearing versus the cultist robe, nothing alike. Her robes and mask are very reminiscent of various religions you've seen before, but
that was actually my next question. Does what she's wearing, like, is it familiar at all in terms of a religion?
Roll a religion check.
I got a 14.
It has a lot of the same elements, but if it is a religion, it's going to be a small one or a minor one. Definitely not one of the more well-known established religions. Or it could just be really pretty.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and roll an insight check on my gut here to see what I can find out about because I'm working with these people and I'm watching them, and my training would dictate to me to spot anything that I thought was odd. Okay, and that's kind of what I'm going to rely on here. So I'm going to go and roll another insight.
Yeah, go for it. I kind of gave you one on the campsite as a whole with that. Well, no, that was really just the carriage. So do you want to do one on their carriage and personnel as a whole, or do you want to do individually Halfling 1, Halfling 2, Lady Yzma, the handmail?
I kind of just want to do it as a whole. Like as a gut feeling, do I feel like there's anything off about them? I mean, I'm with them close. I'm watching them. I'm watching the surroundings, and that's my training is observation here, and just as a whole. And I rolled an 18.
You rolled a what?
An 18.
An 18. Okay. I just heard teen, and I was like,
yeah,
that's a long range of numbers. Yeah. So 8. Halflings they're stereotypical halflings. You know, they eat, they sleep, they laugh, they tell like the most innocent off-color jokes. They as the music's playing from Caravan, they're really into it and bobbing their heads, vibing along with it. Handmaid fusses over every little thing, but gives all the telltale signs of, you know, a dutiful handmaiden. The only thing that is suspicious is Lady Imsa, and just how she's like leprosy covered is the thing. Okay. As far as you know, she could be possessed robes.
Yeah, or some kind of weird cultist dragonkin or something underneath there. Who knows?
Right. But she has been as far as you can tell, when she speaks to you, she looks you in the eye. She doesn't talk down to you like so many nobles do. So that's kind of the other thing. She doesn't have that sense of entitlement that you're so used to, that you even see with the members of Fae. Like, there's the wizard who flat out won't let anyone lay eyes on him. Though you have just seen him in passing here and there. But then there are his knights who, you know, they're still part of the nobility, and the best thing you've gotten is a game of chess, from one of them, and the other one, you know, openly looks down at you. So you're kind of, so that's like you see all the trappings of nobility, and she very much acts in the way, and she very much acts nobly. Okay. But she doesn't act in the way that you associate with noble.
Okay, I know this is a bit of a digression from where we were in game here. So, Zell, did you ask me what I know about that cart or those people?
I mean, I hadn't yet, but I mean, the whole idea here was to figure out where we need to find more information. If she's going to go look at the other cart, we need to figure out what we can get to tonight.
Okay, so I picking up that clue, Falar is going to say, I've been watching Lady Imsa and her entourage very closely and working alongside of some of them, and I can't find anything that would indicate that that at least people in her entourage have any devious schemes going on. And while she herself is very standoffish and secretive, again, I don't feel like her actions would indicate that she is a cultist either. And I, to kind of shore up my main feelings here, they don't seem to be carrying anything of that would consider treasure. There's not enough room in her carriage to hold any part of a hoard of treasure. I think we can eliminate them and count them amongst the innocent.
Okay. Yeah, you've spent the most time with them, so I will trust you on that.
I will still keep an eye out for anything suspicious.
I mean, that seems fair. And also smart. I really the only person I really, so basically we believe from everything that Glimmersleeve said, cart 8 are cultists. The cart she's riding with are not cultists. She's had time to search that cart, so she knows they're not carrying anything.
It's not search cart 8 yet.
No, but that's the cart that was.
It has been searched.
It has been searched, just not by her.
Right.
That was the one where they did the bait and switch on the treasure.
Right.
That's right.
Or at least part of it.
Rocks.
So
Yeah, right.
It's the animals. I don't really have any driving need to further inspect the elf's cart, number 4.
Yeah. Not at this moment.
I think we've seen. I have no suspicion off of her, and we've seen enough of what's inside. So it's really the exotic animals and the pole's cart, basically, are the two.
Right.
If Glimmersleeve's going to go poke around,
right,
the other Tanner cart.
Yeah, because we don't think the Wizard of Thay has any room left from his daily stuff he's using out of his cargo. So.
Oh, I also don't care about him.
Right.
If she's going to poke around one of the Tanner carts, we should.
She's going to try and get on both of them, I thought.
Well, even if she only gets one, we should do the opposite. We shouldn't do the other cart, the other Tanner cart. We should do the other one, right? Because probably if one of them's carrying, wouldn't both of them be carrying?
Don't know.
Right. No, because I told her about the false bottom in cart number 2. The lead Tanner's cart. That's what she said she was going to go look at.
Right.
The other Tanner's cart was locked, but it wasn't as. It was more just obviously locked, not like a false compartment or anything.
But if she can get into both, more power to her in case there is something locked.
Right.
Well, and Fowler's going to indicate. Fowler says another option here is to team up while you guys hold watch and be lookouts for her to work her magic. If she's good with locks, she may be, she may have other skills that can allow her to search these much faster than we would, with less danger of being caught, especially if we're assisting her with you guys as lookouts per se.
And so from everything I gathered at the end of that conversation, she was off to go search the Tanner's cart whenever she could. So that's in motion already.
Right.
So the only real cart we have left that isn't, in that same group is the exotic animals cart.
Right.
I don't know how we're going to get into it, but it's worth at least a look around and a scouting to see if there's going to be an opportunity.
Yeah.
If we don't find a way in right now, we can wait until she's done with what she's doing and then cooperate on that.
His cart
Fowler.
Yeah, his
Sorry,
cart. That's who you were talking about sabotaging the axle, right? Was the exotic animals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
but we need to make sure that they are or not cultists before we do that. So.
But that's part of figuring it out. I thought it was to sabotage them, to get them to hang back, and then we can help and possibly.
No, I think he was talking about that for the ultimate, like keeping people back away from the ambush, using that as a way to do that.
Yeah, that's my plan to separate the quote unquote innocent group, the people that we deem innocent, an excuse for them to hang back when and let the rest go forward and get smoked by that ambush.
Yeah, and I guess still wouldn't hurt to probably search them.
Yeah, no,
that's the whole point. We need to find out because if they are cultists, we don't want to use them as bait because then they'd be back behind the ambush. So we need to find out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I just figure that we need a real reason to separate this 9-cart caravan into 2 groups.
Yeah, I had that thought too, but I didn't have any ideas on how to do it. So I'm glad that you were thinking about that too. So yeah, basically, I mean, that leaves us with trying to see what it's going to take to get into this exotic animals cart right now.
So Falar looks at you, and he looks at Cespedes, and he gets this big grin, and I say, "There's always Cespedes' hammer."
Looking for a place.
I give you a real funny wink.
A real funny, like I'm not good at winking, or.
He still hasn't got to try that, I don't think.
I haven't gotten to try it, but I might rather go a Rory and just go up and be mean and try to eat some of her animals and see if we can get somebody to sneak in behind me while I'm causing a distraction.
We're gonna have a hangry dragonborn entry.
That's right.
Well, I was gonna suggest before you try that, at least we haven't really tried to look around and see what their guards are like, if they have any guards, if it's locked at night. Just check that out first before we figure out if we need to actually distract some guards or whatnot.
And these guards were really sympathetic
to eat some things.
Like they were nice.
Yeah, I've made friends with some of them. So
I'd feel bad fighting with them if we can get them away from the cart, away from him. And
it's really just Tim who's a dick.
Right. And distract him.
Oin was
I wasn't going to fight him. I was just going to eat their livestock.
Right, but if their stock is all inside, then that's a problem too. I mean, how do you do that?
Fair.
I don't know what's going on with this cart, and so I want to go find that out before we try anything.
And that is the thing, is the exotic animals are inside the cart.
Yeah.
True.
Right.
Like you hear them, you smell them. You've seen a few, you've seen a very vibrantly colored parrot, almost like macaw sized. Every now and then they bring it out, they leash it up, they let it fly a little bit. The rats were for snakes that you caught. Also, for that cart, they do have 3 half-elf guards, and they seem to do a similar rotation that you guys do for your cart. I would say as a whole, you guys, everyone seems to do the same or similar rotation of guard duty that you guys have been doing.
Okay, so I tell them, hold on just a moment, and so we're over by cart 6, and the exotic cart is right next to ours. So I'm gonna walk between the two and see if I can spot all of cart 5's personnel and see where they're at, especially with the distraction that's going on in the center of our ring.
Yeah, because Kirk is still playing away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which we should definitely use it as an advantage here. I'm sure Glimmer Sleeves is.
So,
you are frozen.
Oh, I was staring off over here. I wasn't saying anything yet.
Okay.
Do you see? Am I moving now?
Yeah, you're
Yes,
good.
you're fine now.
Oh, okay. The half is asleep under the cart.
You said the halfling something. It kind of broke up.
Okay. The female guard
Okay.
from that group, she is asleep underneath the cart.
Yes.
The unnamed half-elf male
Okay.
is, if he's asleep or not from your passive, but he is sitting down on the inside of the ring, leaning up against the cart. You do not see Oin. Gormer has a guard post on the outside of the ring, effectively being where the number 5 is scribbled on the map. That's about where he's standing.
So basically, they're potentially on full guard duty here. They're not being distracted much by what's going on in with the music and things.
Well, like I said, you have one person actively asleep.
Okay.
One person on active guard duty. One guy, he is either resting or asleep. You're not sure which. But he is not on active duty.
Okay.
And then Oin, you don't see. And you kind of take a quick survey of the site, and you don't see him in general. So he might be inside the cart.
Well, that stinks.
Yeah, without some big distraction, this is why we haven't gotten very far in this whole thing, because
Right.
everyone's on full guard, and our distractions aren't really distracting a whole lot. So that's, without something big happening and causing a lot of chaos, that's not going to tip our hand. It's up to some roles that, I don't know if we can be confident in without any of us being thieves or anything like that. So I don't know.
It's kind of a weakness of this module.
That's a weakness of the group. I mean, we didn't build the thief group.
Yeah.
So,
Which I think is kind of interesting because, and do exactly what she's doing. Like, we're still in module mode.
yeah.
So they're like, yeah, they're probably not going to have a thief. Here's one in case.
Right. Because, I mean, this is like session 9 of being in this caravan where we haven't been able to do what we need to do.
Yeah, we need a little hole here. I don't want to be rude about it, Andrew, but we need a hole here.
Yeah, I'm trying.
So if
I
they
am working on
if they can't be asked to do some sort of distraction attack, then we're going to have to wait for something external to happen. That's just, you know what I'm saying? It's like every avenue we keep trying to come up with just kind of keeps not working out. So, and it's fine if they can only do a frontal attack in a big group and it's just going to be a ransack. That's fine. But otherwise we're going to just wait. We're just going to keep waiting until something chaotic
What
happens.
if we go find a troll?
They're not till the end of they're not till we get to the castle. I mean, this is grasslands, so.
Oh, I thought we were in troll country.
Not yet.
Vaguely, like
So,
outskirts.
Right.
where's the Sword Coast map?
I mean,
There we go.
that's when
Actually, no, you are in troll country. They are heavily in 2 places.
Right.
One being the Troll Claws, which are at this point south few hours.
Yeah.
Then northwest of you is Trollbark Forest.
And
That's a few days. That's
Right.
and that's where
There's more cover. There's more things can happen.
right.
So, without outright like cutting elf throats of guys we kind of like and have played dice with, Well, I don't see any way to really cause enough chaos that's not going to point back to us right away if we want to stay with the caravan. And I'm not, character's not an assassin yet.
Yeah, neither am I.
And not without being paid. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, it's an assassin with code. So
No, and we are currently on a job, and
right.
So, because we only have 15 minutes left, my question is, do you guys want to do anything with Cart 5 this evening? Or do you want me to give you the results of adventure into Carts 2 and 3? I think just for Eric's timing, we've only got one of the two.
right. And since I don't think any of us are ready to try to sneak past a guard right now, I think we should just figure out what she finds from the Tanners and deal with Cart 5 later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's really risky for us to try to break into 5 with 3 of the 4 people there, for sure.
And several of them that we like.
Yeah.
Okay. So kind of just speeding up a little bit. The evening, Carradine, you actually see Limmersleeve, and she seems to be social butterflying. She starts, like, when you see her leave your guys' cart, she goes over and spends a good amount of time with Miss Little's cart and laughing and joking, specifically with, Orvustia. And then she kind of bounces back over to her own cart for a little while, where she takes up a guard position for a little while, and then you go, and this is where Carradine go to sleep. And Zell, you do your overnight watch shift for those first 4 hours. And then Carradine, when you wake up to do yours, it's very quiet. A lot of the embers seem to have lowered, as we're getting to those last 4 hours leading up to dawn. And out of the very, your ears just kind of just twitch a little bit as you hear like soft steps on wet grass. And that's when you look over and you're able to see just this milky shadow moving along the outside. And it seems to just like slither from cart to cart to cart, like very much someone, like it almost looks like a living shadow moving. Until finally it gets to cart 3, and it seems to just, you see it absorb into the shadow of the cart, and it doesn't move. Like where everything else, where it seemed like sit and hop every few seconds, it just stays there. Roll me a perception.
Natural 20, so 27.
27. Literally emerging out of the shadow from underneath the cart, you see Glimmersleeve's like torso and hands. She looks around. She sees something outside the cart, and you see her kind of like duck back in.
duck back in's where you stopped. You're frozen.
Oh, sorry. You see her duck back in for a brief second. She then comes back out, starts finally working with something above her head beneath the cart you can't really see, until you see a board kind of like pop out first. Goes up.
A board pop out and you stopped again.
Ah! Internet, I'm having a moment.
Yeah. It's got to be your apartment complex is taxing what little internet you probably have in there.
It's got to be, because I am like hard plugged in at this point. Yeah. So, so she reaches up. So the little board pops out and she holds it in place with one hand to keep it from swinging open. She reaches a hand up. You see her pull something down. You can't quite see what. Puts it into her. Pushes back up. Locks it. You see her dive back down. Shadow moves on to the next one. And again, you see the exact same repeated process before going back into the shadow and it just quickly running along the outside back to her carriage and pulls up, lifting herself up out of the shadow, goes right back to sleep like she never moved.
Okay.
Next morning, everyone's having their breakfast. And again, she goes and she social butterflies, saying hello to people, helps people with a few tent stakes here and there before coming over and settling next to you guys. And she looks over at Zell and she goes, "My sweet friend, please tell me you guys have coffee."
We have more alcohol.
Nope. Yep.
Close enough. She hands you her mug.
Yeah, I go get her a mug.
Roll me a perception. Actually, it's pretty simple. You got a decent passive. Inside the bottom of the mug, there is a innate gold dragon motif brooch.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take her mug into the cart and while there, pocket the thing and then bring her mug back to her full of gin, probably.
She takes when she hand the mug back to her, she takes a big pull and goes, "Oh, yep, I'm awake now."
I'm glad. Is there anybody close enough to, if we talk quietly, is going to overhear us?
I mean, there's people milling about. You guys seem to only really ever prepare elaborate dinners, so no one really bugs you in the morning. I mean, distance-wise, if you're doing this at your campfire, cart 8, the closest people are there are 15 to 20 feet away. After that, it's cart 1. And they're also 15 to 20 feet away.
Okay.
So...
I get. Can I ask? This is probably my off shift. Can I be with them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So where? Where did you find anything interesting last night?
Yeah. Well, and she was absolutely, yeah. I was able to those false bottoms were, and she does kind of like look around as she says this like into
Right,
her mug.
Right. Trying to hide from lip readers is the other thing here. So
Yeah. She goes like, I was able to get into the bottom of them. And I don't know a tanner that could afford this. What I gave you is worth more than both of his carts combined. And there was more. That's just all I was able to palm.
and I'm able to easily palm it over to Keratin, I guess would be. I rolled the natural 20 to sort of sleight of hand it over to you, even though it's not a skill anymore. But so just so you can see what you found.
Sleight of hand isn't a skill? Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is. Fine, I got a 23.
I wasn't concerned whether or not you could do it. It was more like, how bad is my memory?
I just assumed.
Yeah. And you look down your hand and it's a brooch. It is a gold brooch of a golden dragon. It's got pearl inlay as its wings are kind of unfurled. Its teeth are silvery, as it's kind of doing a small roar to it. It's mostly just like the head and wings. You don't have the full body.
Okay.
Very expensive, very ornate.
Similar
even
thing.
even the pin on the back is gold.
Okay.
Evidence in both carts or just the lead cart?
Yes. Oh, there was evidence in both. That was just the easy piece to slip to you.
Mm-hmm.
The other one's more Pearl's best friend.
Zell looks really confused, and then just decides to go and move on. The actual hard evidence is appreciated, though.
And I tell her, we also attempted to find out information on that box cart over there, and I kind of tossed my head to the side towards 5, and but it was heavily guarded. It didn't seem like the right time for any of us to try to make our way inside to find out what's in there. So we had a fairly unsuccessful night, and I kind of hang my head down.
Well, I can try to get in there tonight. 2 carts a night if I've got a good distraction or people have been encouraged to sleep. So
Okay, that sounds like a good deal. And I kind of
handle that.
Glance over at Cespedes and Zell and ask, I'll say, Fowler's going to say, I'll be on duty again tonight, but if you two can lend her a hand if she needs it in any way, we're running out of time.
Yeah. No, not a problem. I'm good at distractions, including my own.
she sits there and contemplates and goes, you guys do communal cookings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could give you a seasoning.
Oh. So by encouraged to sleep, you meant encouraged to sleep.
Exactly.
Fowler's okay with this. He's shaking his head like, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I like it. The only
Keratin?
Again, it's one of those. Is it if people are like knocked out, everyone's. It's going to be real obvious with us not eating it.
Yeah,
Well,
good point.
No, we still eat it. We just make sure that we prepare ours slightly differently. If it's not a stew or a soup, it's easier to do that.
Yeah.
It
We
is
eat raw meat anyway.
it is a powder. It can be dissolved in a liquid if that's how you choose to disperse it, or it could be applied to meat or cheese, or just season some food with it. Or, of course, just strike up some revelry that gets everyone's attention to the middle, and I can work my other way.
That may be more of our speed. Especially, I mean, unless we want to try and just drug the elf that cart's worth of people, but I don't know if that's.
We do.
Well, either way, we're probably not going to be able to drug the what's his face because he refuses to eat our food anyway.
Right.
I was going to say we do have some information. They did have some requests for Zell. I have listed on my notes here that the people from the animal cart requested venison, no fish, game meat. They were concerned about the costs of participation, and they like mushrooms. So I mean, like, we can probably work off of that to bring anyone that's lingering at the cart a special plate.
What about?
Yeah, and that covers the guards. It just doesn't cover.
What about
what's his name?
What about something more along the lines of a musical storytelling that would be nice to have an exotic animal or something as part of it, where he would have to come out and show the animal or walk it around or something like that.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Or, when the snakes came, then he brings out his snakes, that sort of thing, where he's walking around and really focused on the animals, and maybe the guards are focused on what's going on too, where she can get in real quick.
Glimmersleeve seems to nod and just goes, that gets him out of the cart and is a distraction. Sounds like something that would work.
Yeah.
Do you think he'd go for it?
Convince him to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, someone's got to go talk to him, and he's
I could try. I don't know. I'm the only one that hasn't talked to him, right? Cesspit went and tried to talk to him about his Axel, and then Zell went by and got the cold shoulder
on the food thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I talked about Axel too, and they were just like, "Shut the hell up, go away."
Right.
It's our problem.
Okay. I mean, we can do all this next time too. It's 10:00, so.
Oh yeah.
So we'll go food for thought for a week. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and end it there.
This has been a production of Gaming Without Gaming, all rights reserved.
Gaming Without Gaming's logo music is by Kevin Macleod. D&D intro and closing music is by bensound.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/gamingwithoutgaming. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and thanks for watching.